Hello. Can you guys hear me? All good? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Very excited to be here and to moderate and host a panel to discuss the exciting topic about mobile gaming and why it makes sense for brands to leverage this environment. So we have great panelists today. So what I suggest is we can do a quick introduction. So if you can just introduce yourself, what's your current role and your background, it would be great. You want to start, Hilary?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Hilary Batzel. I lead the global media team at Microsoft and all of the consumer brands. So very excited to talk about how gaming plays a strategy today.
Guillaume, do you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you very much, first of all, Benjamin, for having us here today. My name is Guillaume Monteux. I'm the CEO of Gadsme, which is an in-game advertising company. Gadsme is literally ads in-game. So obviously, I love games and advertising.
Yeah, Vincent.
Hi everyone, thank you for having us also. I'm Vincent Fevrier. I'm the CMO of Tap Nation. We are mobile game publishers based out of Paris. So we do hyper casual games. I've been with Tap Nation for 2 years, and previously I was working at Twitter, part of the MoPub ad monetization and mediation team. So yeah, excited to talk about brands, which is a new division at Tap Nation. Thank you guys.
Oh, great. So I think we are going to cover a few topics today. I think we would like to start by discussing about the audience and demographics about mobile gaming. So I think I have a first question for you, Hilary, is that it would be great, I think, for everyone to understand from your point of view as an advertiser why the mobile gaming environment is relevant, specifically versus traditional media channels.
Of course. I represent both, I would say, the brand. Think about the brand as Xbox and gaming and our mobile casual games, but also as an advertiser. And so I think it's a unique perspective to think about how mobile gaming fits into that. When we think about advertising across all of our products, it's about where's the audience, right? It's not about us, it's about who we're trying to reach and where are they spending their time. And a lot of their time is now being spent in the mobile gaming universe, which is why we're obviously including that as a larger part of our overall media mix for many of our brands and many of our non-gaming brands. Windows 11, for instance, launched 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and a lot of our investment was promoting that within the mobile in-game space and mobile gaming space, because that's where we're getting a lot of eyeballs and a lot of time spent with that messaging. And I think that's maybe part of the difference of when we think about traditional media. Our time is so we run out of it, and as consumers, we don't have enough time in the day. So finding those individuals where they are, and that's across many platforms now. It is not just about thinking about traditional media. It's media and where those eyeballs are, and mobile gaming has become an ever-present part of that now.
Great, thanks. So maybe on that topic, Vincent, I would love to hear from you. Why do you think this is a relevant environment for buyers, specifically to consider this environment from the audience point of view and the demographics? What's relevant and what you're pushing to advertisers?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I agree. Now we have to realize that gaming is actually the number one media in terms of time spent by the audiences when you go offline, online. This gaming is now becoming before TV, before any kind of support. So if you want to reach a large-scale audience, a wide-age audience, it is very really the place to be. And mobile especially is becoming the end user's last screen, very present screen. On terms of audiences, we will be surprised. So we started as hyper casual publishers, so it's a very wide audience of gaming. Gaming is not only the 15, 18 years old geek guy in his room, actually it's 7 to 77 years old now. We see solitaire, we see evergreen puzzles. Hyper casual is also a very wide audience. We will be surprised. We look at our audience, and actually the majority is 25-35 or 35-44. It's not 18-24, the majority of audience. So we have CSP, we have purchasers, we have active people. And secondly, why the mobile gaming is also matching is that versus TV or cinema, where you have a lot of attention a bit maybe outside of the screen. Mobile game users are used to ads. We see a lot of rewarded video. We see a lot of interstitial video. It's a natural pause, and they are adapted to ads now. So it's not as bothering as it could be with other media. So they really like to engage with those ads. Rewarded is kind of a sponsored content to access a specific premium content into the game. So they see the brand, the advertiser here, as a kind of a boost, as a kind of a partner for their game progression. So they are really open to see those brands, very receptive when they are in the game. And again, it's a leisure time, it's a play time. So you're more relaxed, you're more enjoying that moment, and be more receptive to brand. I think that's kind of the two aspects that are interesting as well.
Yes,
I
go
think
ahead,
it's a
Laurie.
really important thing to try and change the perception that gaming is only for a certain audience. And so you talked on like a lot of really good things about. I think if we asked everyone out here to say, raise your hand if you're a gamer, maybe a third of people would raise the hand. But if you said, do you play solitaire? You know, like half of the audience will. And it changes just that perception of being a gamer or being involved in gaming isn't the stereotype that many people think about.
And specifically about the perception topic, Guillaume, I think from your point of view, it will be interesting to hear like what is the kind of misconception and I would say cliche you are facing when you are kind of pushing and defending this environment for an advertiser.
As Hilary and Vincent said, the first cliche is the audience, definitely. And not only on the qualification of the audience, as this was addressed, but on the number of the audience. Today, we all have a console in our hands. With the mobile, we all have a game downloaded for either for ourselves or for anyone that we know. So every year there may be between 300,000 and 500,000 more players in the world, leading to 3.2 billion players in the world, among which 1.6 are playing at least once a week. So not only the audience is spread out through every generation, but the audience is growing naturally to everybody. So that's the first misconception. The second misconception, I believe, is about the quality of the game. When you're a brand, and when I interviewed tons of CMOs, they were all saying, we don't go into the gaming because we just don't know the games. For example, Vincent, he has a game which is called Monster Squad Rush. Monster Squad Rush? Is it a good game? Is it a bad game? Is it suitable? Does it have violence? Yes, no. So before, until I would say few months, there was no company that were able to tell the brands, we have categorized every games that we have in our portfolio, such as Ogury, I guess, must have done, such as Gatsby has done. So whenever we have brand coming to us, recently Spotify, McDonald's in case of Tap Nation, Mark and Spencer, whatever brands, they want to go to FIFA. Because this is the only game that they know, FIFA, which is fine for Electronic Arts, which is not yet bought by Microsoft. Maybe. So maybe one day. But for all the others publishers, what do they know? Because the game are not really, known by everyone. So the idea is that, and the second misconception is that there are now companies that can tell the brands, go to that brand, go to that game, go to that other game, go to that also to that game. Maybe the name is not nice, but the game is very nice and very suitable and very, I would say, coherent with your core value as a brand. And in fact, Monster Squad Rush is a very nice game for every brand. And the third, I would say, misconception, if I may, and I will be very, very quick on that, is measurement. Again, in FIFA, when you had Nike advertising in FIFA, only FIFA told Nike how much impression, what was the reach, and blah, 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 blah. Now, there are companies like ours that can tell both the game editor and the brand, this is the number of impression, this is the number of users that have sold your ads, and not only us, IAS, Double Verify are also now part of this global game by bringing more transparency to the whole ecosystem. So audience is spread out, games are known by companies like ours, and measurability is less hectic, I would say.
So thanks. Speaking about measurability, I think it would be great to have your point of view as an advertiser, whether there are some specific KPIs or level of performance that you're looking at only for the mobile environment. Especially, I mean, we hear a lot about all of the attention topic in the industry a lot. Obviously, curious to see if you're correlating those subjects all together in terms of KPIs you're looking at.
Yeah. I think building on your point of premium too, along with measurement, who defines premium these days, right? We all defined it as an industry and said, oh, this is premium content. But really, the user is defining what premium means. And that's where the measurement comes in too, of they're spending more time there. I read a really fun fact. I think 50% of time spent on mobile casual games was in the toilet. But when are you most attentive? You're pretty attentive during that time, and I think that's really the interesting thing about that is it's a time in which people are actively engaged. And so when you talk about measurement and KPIs, you can really kind of prove out the engagement in that and the time spent within those games. And we learn a lot as game publishers also with all the back-end metrics to really understand what those consumers are doing to serve placements in an area of which is the right and not disruptive to the game. And so as advertisers, we know we're bringing something that's bringing value. I think, Vincent, you had mentioned about the rewards, and also kind of rewarding through play. There's incentive there that allows more time, more opportunity for engagement, which really helps change a lot of those metrics.
So yeah, specifically about the engagement topic, it would be interesting to have your point of view as a publisher, whether engagement is part of the, I would say, plan when you create a game, and what you've been seeing in terms of performance, specifically, in Uplift versus other channels.
So yeah, engagement is key in mobile games. Our dream is that our users will play our games for years and years. So retention, we try to find the right balance between number of ads, number of interstitial, makes it interesting for the users to keep getting some rewards. So the engagement and the attention to advertisers inside the games is becoming more and more important. And as brands drive their attention towards the gaming, they want those commitment, they want those measurements, and the attention of the users is key. So luckily with rewarded video, we have a 95% plus view through rate or completion rate. So you know that the users have seen, has not skipped the video. So it's even more guaranteed that YouTube that could be skippable sometimes. So there is this attention and this engagement. And now we have more and more side companies. So you mentioned Integral Science, Double Verify that are able. We're also integrating open measurement SDK that is very transparent for everyone to see the whole viewability, to see the time spent on the ads. And above that, kind of a keyword now is becoming is also the attention. So there is extra measurement company that will get into the SDK, get a panel of 5,000 mobile phones and detect your eyes, really attention through the camera of kind of a witness panel, and they'll be able to tell you the measurement of attention to your ads and what will represent the campaign. So I think those are the keys that the kind of white proof and labeling that the brands want, and now it's available for gaming. We are transparent. It's a brand safe environment as well. It's for the family. So all the elements seems to be aligned to be now a safe place and validated as well place to measure for brands. I think that's the engagement we.
You have mobile gaming started the value exchange. And now think about how many connected TV partners are using that for their own ad serving. But that really was started in this space.
Yeah.
And specifically for the in-game environment versus like traditional interstitial, rewarded video, etc. What are you seeing in terms of performance?
In terms of performance, the performance are well, you have three traditional ad formats, I would say, which is the banner, which is the interstitial, and which is the rewarded video. Until today, I would say those represent 95% of the ad format in the mobile games. Rewarded videos are user-generated, so they are not frustrating the players, but the banners and the interstitial, that's another story. we at Gatsby believe that when you play, you shouldn't be annoyed. So we only do non-disruptive formats that are blended into the game. So we do display, we do video, we do audio out of the same SDK. We are the only company in the world to do that. And in fact, what we are seeing is just excellent results. Excellent viewability, because you have the ability to put the same ads all throughout the games. And when you see a little bit of an ad here, and you turn your head and to look at another part of the game, then the visibility augments. It's not counted twice, it counts for just one impression. And little by little, the visibility is correctly measured. And also, Gatsby is the only company in the world to have introduced the click on non-intrusive ads, which might be a little bit not compatible to have clickable ads into the games. And so we worked on the clickable things, and we worked twice the time on the technology that would avoid any misclick on because you are playing on the and here we are seeing CTRs that go from, I would say, 0.3 sometimes to 4, which is just insane. If the creative is properly designed, if it's in the game, then you can interact with the ads, and it has excellent results.
So specifically about the topic of creative, I would be interested to hear if you have some specific creative strategies that are applied for this environment, or if it's not really something which is an area of focus.
I think it depends. I would say the creative is designed to be fit to the mobile screen, not necessarily the environment. And part of that is because it doesn't have to, gaming creative doesn't have to be only in gaming, right? So I think that is a perception or misconception that we hadn't mentioned, which is that you have to have gaming relevant creative for it to resonate in this space. You don't. It needs to be relevant to the audience, and the messaging still needs to be good. You know, good messaging resonates anywhere. But I'd say it needs to be designed for the mobile experience or the viewing experience of which the games are being played, more than necessarily a gaming environment.
Yeah, makes sense. I think specifically, there is a topic always relevant, which is like the integration of into the gaming environment. So I would be curious to hear, in terms of tracking, if you have some specific strategy as a publisher at Tap Nation.
So integration, tracking also comes to measurement. How does the brand want to buy? How do they want to track and integrate into the game? As you mentioned, Guillaume, there's the kind of three historical male traditional ad format. Today, if you want to buy gaming inventory, depends on your relation with the publishers, but either it can be managed served, so you will come with your creatives, your tracking URL. Generally, we all use a mediation or a main ad server where we can run the campaign for you and gain transparency on the click and impression, or it can be bought programmatically. In that case, you very likely have a DSP, DB360, or there's a lot of DSP out there where they want to buy and measure programmatically and have a kind of this middle-mile proof. So then we set up those kind of deal, guaranteed deal or PMP, where we create an ID for the buyer seat. Then we integrate that in our kind of waterfall or traditional ad placement, and they will be able. We define a price together, and they will get at this price a privileged access where they can fill as much impression as they want according to the budget, the pacing, the user frequency as well, the ad frequency per users. So that's one thing, and the tracking after it's all through all the main MMPs, the likes of Adjust or AppsFlyer, etc. So those measurements are the way we integrate today. When it comes to more innovative ad format like Gatsby, it's similar. It can go programmatically via them or direct via the publishers, where it's more of a managed campaign. But the importance is that the more you go through those type of integration, the more customized, the more merge into the game, the more interesting the experience is as well for the users. Yeah,
makes sense. So specifically back to the topic of KPIs, I would be curious for an advertiser like Microsoft if there are some specific, I would say, metrics that are more relevant for you specifically in the gaming environment.
It all ties back to the business, right? So I think that each individual business is different. We'd love to get to a place that we're kind of building out pipelines that we can track to the business outcome of lifetime value and other places. But right now, I'd say they're pretty specific to engagement, attention, viewability, more industry standard.
No, makes sense. So I think there is one topic that we didn't cover yet, which is what's coming next in the future of gaming. So I would love to hear from your point of view, I mean, starting with Vincent, are there some specific areas that you invest today that you think are going to become like trends, big trends in the near future?
So yeah, there's a few parts. So my background has always been into monetization. So as fun as it sounds, I like to put ads into apps or games. It's become 10 years now my specialty. So moving to the after Twitter and mediation, moving to the publisher side at Tap Nation, it was a pure playground of fun, testing a lot of ad format, testing a lot of integration. We're launching since 1 year this direct brand division, like the big of Zynga and other large brand. Gameloft have been doing for ages as well. We know we want to diversify. We don't want to show only Unity ads, Applovin ads, which are showing other games competitors. Diversity is healthy. So having those direct brand relation, media agency, and bringing a mix of brand advertisers is also a good thing. And there's several ways to do it. I think Gatsby was a great example of how we talked with McDonald's in France last year to run a very nice budget of a recruitment campaign with a tracking of conversion for future employees. So we had served it through Gatsby on those in-game ads in France for a period of 3 months alongside the offline campaign. So that was our first kind of innovative placement of ad format, which was a great success, high rate of click. We were around 2.5% of clicks, which was really a good target and a good understanding. And 2 other new ad formats, as we mentioned as well. Audio ads is becoming interesting. It's a complementary ad format, non-disruptive for the user as he continues to play the game. And it will open a whole new branch of brand advertisers, with the like of podcast and Spotify. Audio ads are becoming also more and more interesting as people get a lot of attention to that. And the last point where we see a great opportunity, so we did traditional ad format, in-game ads, and now we want to go a step further, which is the product placement inside the game. So without spoiler, we're working to launch L'Oreal Direct next month with a diesel campaign. We're very happy to work with them on the main ad format, rewarded video interstitial, but we're pushing a more game introduction, so it's for deodorant spray bottle, where actually one of the character of the game has to grab, instead of a jewelry, it's kind of a Steve puzzle, one of our biggest games, instead of stealing a jewelry or something, he steals the spray bottle of diesel. So the users is really playing with the product. For FMCG brands, it's very interesting, and a lot of type of product you can place that. So it's really now the brand is more and more immersive and merged into the game, into the user experience. We have a very famous game which is called Ice Cream as well, where we design different flavor of ice cream. So our dream is now to have Nestle, Häagen-Dazs, or Miko to have their ice cream cornet played by 2 million daily active users this game. So imagine if for a whole summer 2 million users play your ice cream game in the US. So that's, I would say, it's less programmatic. It's a bit more manual integration. It requires some development from the developer team on the game and to resubmit the game. But that will be, I would say, like the final milestone. So imagine you have the product placement plus in-game ads. Then when the rewarded video interstitial arrives, the user was already facing the brand, get familiar with it. So then the click-through rate and the final engagement when it comes to the conversion is like he's all prepared, he's familiar with the brand. So I think that would be the ideal environment of how brand can take over from A to Z some games, yeah.
No, that's a great point. And specifically, there is one thing we were wondering, is that about the type of games, do you think, for Microsoft as an advertiser, do you think there are specific categories that would be better to fit with your brand, or that could be better for performance, or you think it's anything that can create a positive mindset?
Well, I'd say from a game developer perspective, obviously a lot of the casual play with Minecraft, Solitaire, et cetera, has done well for us. So we're going to continue in that space. But from an advertiser perspective, not necessarily a specific genre. I think we think about it as how can we reach the most people with scale? what I'd like to see is more automation in how we can have frequency in new creative. We can build the creative, but we don't necessarily do it at a pace that's frequent enough to keep it fresh. And automation within the tools, I think, is where we should fine tune and see if there's some opportunity.
Okay, makes sense. What about you, Guillaume? Specifically in terms of verticals,
Well,
of all of the different categories of games that you're working with, are you seeing some specific areas with better performance or more appetite from buyers?
definitely. I would say every brand, I would say even every product can be very efficient in certain kind of category. So it's highly brand and product dependent to which game. This is what we believe you should be addressed. We made a campaign for Spotify, for example. It was a test campaign at the beginning, but at the end of the day, they liked it and they wanted to do subscriptions. And so we run a Spotify campaign across various games with various, I would say, results. So now we better know in which kind of game you can buy subscriptions. And now we are called by every subscription brand to advertise in the game. In Monster Squad Rush, absolutely. It was particularly efficient in Monster Squad Rush. What I want to say, Benjamin, is that some time ago, gaming was considered as a hobby. Gaming is now the most, I would say, scaling industry in the world by far. People are playing with pleasure. They have no ad blocker. They have you can find them in a healthy environment, very attentive, and you don't have to buy any solution for attention because when you play, you are attentive by design, I would say. So there is no study to do that to prove that. I would say when you're watching the TV, even if you're on the toilets, you are attentive to your gaming.
Even
And by the
more
way,
attentive.
that's quite scary because Game Studio wants to increase the time session. So, but
I don't know if it's true. It was a fact.
Okay,
It was
next question.
someone else stated it.
anyway, what I want to say is that gaming is definitely a thing now. So, what's the future of advertising and gaming for us? Definitely, intrusive ads for me will disappear. Banners, interstitial, will be replaced by non-intrusive ads. That's what we believe. Second, games will be designed around non-intrusive ads. Today we try to put billboards or videos in existing games, sometimes with good ideas, and they have good ideas which we stole from Tap Nation to put them. But tomorrow the games will be designed around ads because they're and especially free-to-play games. So that's will be something which is different as a practice as today's practice. And finally, I believe that in the near future, not today or tomorrow, but in the near future, e-commerce through gaming will be just huge. Because when you will be playing with the diesel thing in the game, what would you want? Why would you want to wait for a rewarded video to buy those games? It must be very easy. It shall be very easy for every player to just push a button and buy those. What we are seeing today is that sometimes you have discount. How do you call that? The discount codes that you can use for pizza. We've done that with Pizza Hut. That you can download and buy pizza later. It works a lot. E-commerce through mobile gaming tomorrow, if it's done properly, nicely, with not too much ad pressure, because today we are seeing a lot of ad pressure on the players. If it's done properly, it's going to be huge.
Yeah. And I will be interested to hear from your point of view, Hilary, from Microsoft as a publisher, very active in the gaming environment, if there are some specific areas of trend that you're seeing and that you potentially want to invest on in the near future?
We're trying to invest in a lot within gaming right now and getting held up.
I was talking about internally, but you can talk about that as well.
I think a lot of it is just interactivity and thinking about new ways that it's a seamless experience within the game. So the teams are spending a lot of time within the individual games just thinking about ways to keep the user challenged and ways to keep them engaged differently. But no specific, I'd say, tech or whatnot applied.
And on that topic, do you think as an advertiser there are some specific ethical consideration that every advertiser should have in terms of guidelines when running on mobile gaming? Or it's
In terms of ethics, I think, again, it goes back to the stigma of gaming is a healthy environment, like the misperception that gaming isn't healthy. And I think within especially the mobile gaming space, and Guillermo, you mentioned it earlier too, it really is a healthy environment of which people are playing. So I'd say I don't think there's necessarily an ethical challenge there. It's just making sure that we're also, like, we do have to be concerned about addiction, the appropriate relationship to games and whatnot. But that's really us being responsible as game producers and making sure that the content we're giving is for bettering an individual's day, bettering an individual's experience, and whatnot. I think there's a lot more games that are actually focused on mental health and evolving different ways in which you can play and really make sure you stay true to yourself.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think before we open the floor for question, maybe if there is one thing that the people in the audience should walk away having in mind about mobile gaming and why it's a good fit for advertiser, can we do like a 1 minute each? What's the main thing for everyone to have in mind that people should walk away with in terms of information? You can start, Vincent.
It's a wide question, but I think we described pretty well how it's been years and years that brands and gaming has been a love-hate story. Like they're scared measurement, audience, validity of audience, etc. And nowadays, I think we have every single line. Gaming is the #1 media. Thanks to the metaverse, esport, COVID time, everybody realizes how gaming is now the place to be, how users are actually you and me. And I think if we create those experience, evangelizing, talking to each other, sharing our audience, per game today we're able to tell you age and gender, age category, interest, are the retailer, traveler, etc. If we gather all those information, those profile, and if we deliver that format experience, we talk with in-game ads, with Gatsby, audio, and now the game product environment and merger, then you've got the complete whole experience to make your brand really appealing and successful and talking to billions of users. Actually this week we celebrate 1 billion downloads at Tap Nation. So you've got hundreds of millions of players globally. So you've got enough to find all category of audience. We've got enough players to do frequency capping if you want to. So all the elements are now in place that they can start testing. And finally, we're also very used to performance. So on top of the branding, you will see that the click and the engagement of the users, if you want to measure post-click those performance, they are here. And we can be much more competitive than premium media, etc. when it comes to conversion, tracking, and having a downer funnel experience. I would say that's the big picture we see.
Thank you. That's a big takeaway. Well, what about you, Hilary? What's the main takeaway from?
I think the main takeaway is to be curious. It's about where our audiences are, and that might not be your habits, but be curious. You might not have been a podcast listener before, but you probably went and listened to a podcast before you advertised there. Same thing with mobile games. Go play them. See the experience, better engage, and then you start to understand the space a little bit better and realize that it's a space in which your brand should play.
What about you, Guillaume?
Well, everything has been said, I think. Just want to add that today, if you're a CMO and if you are not, I will take your question on there, if you are not including gaming into your media plan, you are not the right person at your position.
Okay. That's the end. Yes, go ahead,
Very
Vincent.
positive note.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If I could jump on what you said, curiosity, I think it's right, and it's still innovators and the person I'm most curious and innovative that would create those first tests on gaming, that would create those big image and case study. Now we have McDonald's, now we have L'Oreal. We just explained to Coty and Adidas perfume that we're launching this L'Oreal game. They're like, oh no, we don't want to miss out. We don't want to be. They have this FOMO. We don't want to be the last. We want also be innovators. So if you take a bit of courage and if you're an innovator and the first mover, you will have this exclusivity, this time, this kind of advertising for you and your brand to be kind of more committed to innovation, and then also the rest of the industry will be like kind of jealous of you. So I think that's also a way I see it.
Yes, last
Ma-
positive word.
last
Guillaume?
positive word, yeah, and which is very positive. There is two means when you're a brand and you want to launch a product throughout the world, and you want to do it easily. You have two means to do that. First is social networks, because Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, they have a global reach. And the other only media to have global reach is video games. When you launch a French video games done in Vincent's offices, it is played all over the world. All over the world. So it's very easy for a brand to get their product known instantly throughout the world. Social media and gaming. Press is local, TV is local, radios are local. So gaming is world.
Great, thank you.